So first, we're going to look at the different kinds of vehicles that you can purchase in order to qualify. Most of them are for all electric cars, but there's some that qualify for hybrid, so we'll talk about that. So with the plug-in hybrid, it is a type of electric vehicle that still uses gasoline and can switch between using gas or electricity. For this type of vehicle, you'll still need to recharge the battery with an electricity source, like your household or garage 120-volt outlet. So that's the same outlet you use to charge your phone. These cars typically have around 20 to 40 miles of electric range and then will automatically switch to gas, and that average is about 300 miles. Keep in mind that for most people in the Bay Area, the average commute is about 30 miles. And next is the 100% electric car. And this is solely powered by an electric motor. It uses the energy stored in its rechargeable batteries, and they can be charged with an electric source like the 120 volt outlet, or a level 2 charger, a 240 volt outlet, or a DC fast charger, also known as level 3. The level 2 chargers can be installed in your home. That requires an outlet such as what you would plug your washing machine into. And DC fast chargers are primarily retail chargers that you'll find outside of stores. Purchasing this type of vehicle will get you more money and available incentives than the plug-in hybrid. And so, what are the benefits of driving an EV? There's a lot of reasons to make the switch to electric, so let's discuss the most compelling benefits. So first obvious reason is for cleaner air and healthier communities. There would be a big difference in air quality if everyone started taking cleaner methods of transportation. EVs are healthier for people and the planet, primarily because of the pollutants that come out of a car's tailpipe are incredibly harmful to our health. In humans, pollution from cars can cause many health issues such as strokes, heart disease, lung cancer, asthma, and other respiratory diseases. And pollutants that come out of a car's tailpipe include carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxides, and other actual particulate matter like soot, sulfate, and even certain metals like lead and zinc. The good news is that switching to an electric vehicle causes no air pollution from the car exhaust anymore. There's also overall less carbon emissions tied to owning an EV than a gas car. When driving an EV, you are saving over 7,500 pounds of carbon dioxide a year from entering the atmosphere. And that adds up to 75,000 pounds over 10 years. Carbon dioxide, which is created from burning these fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas, is one of the leading contributors to climate change. And as you can see from this slide, transportation accounts for about 40% of California's carbon emissions. And here in Silicon Valley, transportation accounts for actually 60% of our emissions because we have unusually high commuter rates. And that's why we believe that using clean transportation, like an electric vehicle, is one of the most important things that anyone can do to fight against the climate crisis. And the last main reason for why you should get an EV is its undeniable cost savings. So there's three ways that EVs can save you money. The first is that EVs cost less to fuel up, recharge. The price of electricity is significantly cheaper than gas. So in California, the average price of electricity is about 46 cents per kilowatt hour, which means that charging your car overnight is the equivalent of paying $3.20 per gallon of gas. And a Consumer Reports study found that the average EV driver in California saves around $800 to $1,000 a year in fuel costs, which certainly adds up. And here I have just another kind of graph to give you an idea of the long-term cost savings. So, although early EV drivers paid a high premium for electric cars, most EV drivers today are not having to eat that same amount. So, like I said, it costs less to fuel a car. Um, in addition, maintenance costs are 40% lower for EVs. And then there's the standard incentives available, which can bring down the cost of purchasing an EV. So, to get a little bit more into maintenance, EVs have 10 times fewer moving pieces underneath the hood. So EV drivers don't have to fix things like your fuel injectors, oil changes aren't needed, and oil filters aren't needed, radiators, radiator holes, hoses, spark plugs, water pumps, timing belts, no more smog checks. So again, those add up. And some people are concerned about the lifespan of a battery in electric vehicles, and I just wanted to address that. The average battery lasts about 15 to 20 years, and this is dependent on how you treat it. Generally speaking, a battery should be replaced when it only can take 70% of its energy conservation capacity, which again will take almost decades to reach. EV batteries are also over 95% recyclable now, so you can rest easy knowing where your old batteries go. And some things to keep in mind are bigger jumps in charges will affect your battery's lifespan. So, for example, going from 0% to 100% is harder on your battery than going from 20% to 80%. And finally, the easiest benefit of EVs is that they're fun to drive and easy to charge. EVs are fun to drive because of their fast acceleration due to instant torque and dual motors. They are smooth and quiet ride because there's no vibration or excess sound from the gas. And the only way to understand yourself is to drive one. And you can schedule an EV test drive at your local dealership. Actera also will occasionally host EV ride-in drives where you can try an EV for yourself. And at these EV ride and drives and EV expos that we host, we also bring on EV ambassadors who are regular people who like talking about owning an EV, and they're super knowledgeable in helping people go through the process themselves. Okay, so getting into charging, it is ultimately significantly more convenient than going to a gas station. Just plugging in your car overnight, like you do with your cell phone, will give you a full charge by the morning. There are many workplaces, retailers, and city governments that are starting to install those DC fast charging stations for their employees, as well as the public can use these. I spoke about this a little earlier. So there's the level one charging station. That one you can buy very easily, and you'll get about 45 miles overnight. Level two is the 240 volt charging. That's 25 miles per hour, so significantly faster charging. And that one also, you might need to upgrade your amperage in your home, depending on what car you get, how fast you want to charge, things like that. And the DC fast charging is obviously the fastest charging we have available using 480 volts, and it'll charge 130 to 200 miles every hour. So that's obviously very convenient and helpful, but like I said earlier, I would refrain from using them too much. It can put a lot of strain on your battery, but it's really helpful if you're going on a road trip or running errands. And some options for those who live in an apartment and want to meet their charging needs. There are smart outlets that your apartment complex can provide to the residents, like the Plugzio or GoPower EV, and that allows residents to charge with a level one charger while still being able to track how much electricity they use. And they can be charged a fee for that electricity use. And there's also a concierge service called Spark Charge that will come to you and help charge your vehicle wherever you are. And As time goes on, especially in California and the Bay Area, our EV charging infrastructure is greatly improving. You can find out where charging stations are by using apps like PlugShare, but also if you go on Google Maps, there is a function to highlight how many chargers are on your way. So, a common issue faced by residents in apartment buildings is that a lot of multifamily properties don't have EV chargers. And Silicon Valley Clean Energy is offering incentives of up to $60,000 for installing EV chargers at multifamily properties. Hopefully, this makes it easier for multifamily residents to switch to driving electronic vehicles. And you can share this with your landlord or property manager so that they can get these incentives too before they run out. And PG&E has provided uh, helpful tools to help you figure out when's the best time to charge. So PG&E uses time of use pricing, aka when most people are charging, your rate will increase, and when most people are not charging, it will decrease. They By this metric, they encourage people to power down slash use electricity from about 4 to 9 p.m. And as you can see from this image, your electricity is cheaper when you charge your car overnight or early mornings and until early afternoon. And there are some PG&E plans that will help you lower the cost of charging your EV during your night hours. So definitely, I recommend exploring the plans that PG&E has for charging your EV at home. Furthermore, you can get bigger savings if you switch to a EV rate specific electric plan. The main difference between this plan and the default plan, which we just looked at, is that most people will get even lower prices for off-peak, but a slightly higher price for peak. And there's also that partial peak period. So as long as you're charging at the appropriate times, you would get bigger savings by switching your charging times and big appliances charging at nighttime or early afternoons and mornings. And you can use a PG&E calculator, and that will show you what rates work best for you. It will help you calculate based on your current electricity usage, the car you use, and the miles you drive. And that tool is also available in Spanish. Okay, so what we're all here for. Let's start talking about the incentives. So I'm going to start with some of the new car purchases. If you're considering a new EV, these rebates are for you. We have the SVCE rebate, the federal tax credit, and Clean Cars for All. So starting with the new clean vehicle credit, also the EV tax credit. This is a federal rebate that can reduce your EV sale by up to $7,500 when you purchase a new EV, and you can apply for this credit at the dealership for the discount. So for this credit, there are some rules regarding income and car type. The buyer's adjusted gross income must be under $150,000 for a single filer and $225,000 for head of household or $300,000 for joint filers. The EV must have final assembly in North America, so that excludes mostly Japanese and Korean EVs, unfortunately. EVs must not cost more than $55,000 if it is classified as a car or $80,000 if classified as an SUV, van, or truck. And there are certain battery and mineral requirements in effect. So just by looking at fueleconomy.gov, we'll have the vehicles that you can potentially purchase for the $7,500 tax credit. New hybrid and electric vehicles built after 2023 qualify for some level of credit. And we have things like the Ford F-150 Lightning, some Tesla models, Chrysler Pacifica, Cadillac Lyriq, and I'm sure there's more. I just wanted to include some examples. And there's also some vehicles that will qualify for half the credit. And this includes like the Ford Escape plug-in hybrid, the hybrid Jeep Grand, Rivians will count. And SVCE, as I mentioned, has a new EV rebate program for income qualified residents. You'll be able to get $2,000 off the purchase or lease of any new or used EVs or hybrids. So that covers everything, just to be clear. The vehicle must be for personal use and not for resale. And this rebate is fully stackable with other incentives that you qualify for. This rebate is available to SVCE customers who meet income qualifications, and that's a lot of South Bay residents. I don't know where everyone's from, but that's largely where SVCE supports. So the income qualifications that I mentioned, one way to qualify is that your household income is at or below 80% of the area median income of Santa Clara County. So this is just to give you an idea of what the income eligibility requirements look like. And the second way to qualify is to already be enrolled in some assistance programs. And again, you'll be able to find the full list on the website linked below. And to receive this rebate, you can either get an instant rebate when you get your vehicle at a participating dealership, which you'll be able to find on the website. The dealership will verify your eligibility and submit all the paperwork for you, and you'll get the rebate immediately as a discount on your purchase. Or if you want, you can apply the rebate on your own afterwards. This is helpful for people who are looking to purchase from any licensed dealership or online retailer. So like CarGurus, Carvana. It does not include organizations like Facebook Marketplace or eBay. So you can submit a rebate claim on the website, and once approved, you'll get a check in the mail within 4 weeks. So if you have any questions, you can direct that to SVCE on their helpline on their website. So to put this into perspective, a scenario someone buying a 2024 VW, the new car on its own would cost $40,000, and with the credit, they'll be saving 7,500 plus the SVCE rate per 2,000, which gives us 30,500. And now I'll move on to incentives available for used EVs. If you'll notice, a lot of these available programs that we just mentioned are also available for used EVs. There's going to be some slight differences that I'll address. For the PG&E used EV rebate, you will get a $1,000 rebate to anyone who purchases a used EV. You must be a PG&E electricity customer, and then if you're income qualified, you will get an increased $4,000. This rebate is pretty new from PG&E and helps people who want to buy a less expensive used EV. And again, this is a stackable program that you could use with like the federal clean tax credit. And so we have the used EV tax credit, which you will be able to claim $4,000 for credit for purchasing a used EV. The EV you buy has to be at least 2 model years old, and sales price cannot exceed $25,000. The income limitations include $75,000 for single people, $112,000 for head of households, $150,000 for joint filers, and this discount again can be applied at the dealership. So for Clean Cars for All, this can be used for purchase of a new or used EV. This Clean Cars for All grant is special because you will be turning in an old gas car to buy a cleaner mobility option like an EV. The lowest you can get is $7,000 and the most is $12,000 if you're part of a disadvantaged community. So with these program rules, they now have increased options for 2007 and older cars to be able to be traded in, and it's open to all zip codes within the Bay Area. The vehicle you are retiring must be registered under the applicant's name, been operational for the past 2 years, and weigh less than 10,000 pounds. So the income limit for that program is for those who are less than 300% of the federal poverty level. So for a single person, that's less than about $45,000 a year. For a family of three, that's less than $77,000 a year. If you fall under these income qualifications and you have a 2007 or older car to retire, you can apply for this program. Um, on the side, you'll be able to see how much of a grant you will be able to qualify for, depending on what kind of car you buy and if you're part of a disadvantaged community. So, like I said, for a conventional hybrid, you'll be able to get $7,000. You can also have the mobility option, which is an EV credit for an e-bike. You can use that instead. And there's an extra $2,000 for those who live in a disadvantaged community. And something coming soon that I just wanted to get on your radar is the Driving Clean Assistance Program. This is funded by the Bay Area Air Quality Management District. This is for 100% battery electric or plug-in hybrids. And this one is not stackable with other incentives, like Clean Cars for All. So to go over some more e-bike specific stuff, like I said, the Clean Cars for All program, you can also trade in your old car for a new e-bike. These are also a great form of transportation and becoming more popular, especially as charging gets easier and cargo bikes are more accessible. Qualifying Bay Area residents will retire their old 2007 car for the 7,500 grant to purchase an e-bike. E-bikes have an electric motor, and that helps you to go longer distances, climb hills easier, carry larger equipment with less effort. And California is also opening up its own program that will allow low-income residents to receive a grant of up to $2,000 for an e-bike. And this is another e-bike project that literally started yesterday, so that's really exciting. They have $3 million to give to people who are interested in getting an e-bike. This program will operate as long as there's funding. The eligibility requirements are similar to those listed in the Clean Cars for All table of being 300% below the federal poverty level and over the age of 18. You'll get at least $1,700 and you have to purchase eligible bikes from eligible retailers. And those underlined points are websites that you'll be able to click once you get this copy. Okay, and then some charging specific programs I want to talk about. This is the EV Empower program. This would help certain low-income homeowners with the costs associated with the installation of a level 2 charger on your property. This is open and accepting applications. It might be ending by the end of this year, so I really suggest to act quickly. It will cover $500 for the purchase of a level 2 charger itself, and then up to $2,000 for the additional electrician costs. This is a program that also requires income eligibility. So that chart on the right is to give you an idea. And this PG&E program is a little different. This one can give you a $700 rebate on eligible charging equipment. It is also income qualified, and you must be a PG&E customer. Something of note. Oh, yeah, like I said, these two programs potentially are ending this year, so highly suggest double checking and applying. And so I've covered a lot, and it's a little daunting to go about this yourself. So if you're wondering what to do next and you want help, one of the things you can do is request free one-on-one consultation with one of us as your EV coaches. We can help you identify which rebate programs you qualify for, and we'll create a personalized action plan with steps to take to receive those incentives. And you'll be able to request a consultation on our website, or I'll have our emails at the end and you can reach out to us. And this stuff is really complicated at times and can be daunting, but I just want to show you there's a light at the end of the tunnel. We've helped tons of people get their EVs, including Miss Henrietta Burrows. And as I said earlier, it's a great choice, both in terms of the environment, in terms of cost savings, and they're cool cars. And with that, I've reached the end. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me. And as I said, we have the emails if you want any additional help after this. But for now, I'll take questions. So let me see if anything.
Participants can also come off of mute and feel free to ask a question. We have myself and Joanna who are will be knowledgeable and try to answer your question as best as possible.
Hi, I have a question regarding permits for installing charger.
Yeah.
How do we go about would this incentive cover even the permit charges?
Yeah, it should be able to cover everything. The contractor that you would go with, we don't really recommend any specific contractor, but there's a lot in the Bay Area. And typically they handle the permit cost for you. It's included in their proposal that they'll give to you. And the PG&E program, if you do qualify for that, it charges it covers the cost of the charging equipment, the electrician cost, and then also because the electrician is already including the permit cost, it'll cover everything.
So so do we once we got the contractor or electrician contractors, do we need to get qualified by PG&E to make sure that that is the rebate is applicable to the contractor?
With the PG&E program that covers the 2000, you have to go through the company that's in partnership with that PG&E. It's called Synergy Companies.
Synergy, okay.
Yeah, so you would go to the PG&E website and then apply there. And then you can reach out to Synergy Companies and tell them that you qualified for the program. It'll be a process that you can read more about on their website. But yeah, typically the contractor that you're gonna be going with will cover. They will deal with the permit and everything, so you don't have to do that on your own.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I see a message. Why is it better to charge between 20 to 80 than 0 to 100? It is better because it just puts a lot of power on the battery for a long time of charging from 0 to 100. That takes a lot of work to fully charge a battery. And especially bringing it down to 0 often is, again, a lot of energy on the battery. So trying to stick between that window will help elongate your battery life. But it's not a bad thing to charge at 100%. Like if you're charging overnight, you're probably charging 100%. But again, you should be able to, with certain electric calculators, you can have it shut off when it hits 80%. Let's see. Okay, so the time limit about the federal clean grant. This is a good question. Truthfully, I don't know what's going to happen as the new administration comes in. Thankfully, we still have a bunch of Bay Area and California specific rebates, but yeah, I would certainly recommend applying to that as soon as you can. Let's see. And it does apply to leases, yes. PG and incentives if you get a delivery by PG. Yes, it will apply as long as you're within PG&E. San Jose Clean Energy is set up to work in tandem with PG&E. Oh, Irvin answered that. Perfect. Any other questions? Does the 80% maximum affect hybrids? I would say it will still affect your hybrid. I would also think that switching to gas often is not great for it. Let me double check that really quickly though. And does it sound like most? Yeah, so most California rebates are going to be low income. There are some that you are not having to be low income for, and they just provide more money if you're part of a disadvantaged community. Yeah, it's worth checking out what your amperage is. You shouldn't need an electrician for that. You can go and check your, oh man, the word's escaping me, but you can go and check within your house to be able to see what your amperage is. And if it can handle a 240-volt battery, then that's great and you don't have to do anything. But some people might have to upgrade.
I think you were looking for the term panel, electrical panel.
Yes.
If it's 100 amp in an older house, if you have a pretty new house, you have a good chance it might be 200 amps, and you'd be all set.
Perfect. Thank you so much for helping me with that.
Sure.
Let's see. And yes, Linda, it is good practice. So yeah, it's just going to help minimize the stress on the cell batteries. And a lot of the lithium ion batteries will perform best within, like I said, the 80% charge range. But charging it all the way to 100 will just accelerate the battery degradation. Yeah, so that's exactly what I'm saying. So let me see if I can zoom back to that really quick. Yeah, so as I was saying, we will be able to just have another Zoom meeting, basically, just one-on-one, and you can tell us a little bit more about like where you live in the Bay Area, how many people are in your household, what kind of car you're looking for, and we'll be able to walk you through some of these rebates in more detail to see what best applies for you. I'll give another minute just in case anyone has last minute questions.
And Mao, I think you're not receiving a confirmation email because it's not set up that way. But if you signed up for a consultation request, because we're kind of nearing the end of the holiday, or we're about to start the holiday, I mean, we might not get to these consultations until January 6th when Actera employees come back to work. So just give us a little bit of time to reach out to you and set up a consultation, since tomorrow will be our last day in office here at Actera.
Okay. Like I said, you should be able to answer a lot of these questions or apply to things via our website at Actera. Or if you'd like, you'll also be getting a copy of this, so you'll have our emails in that as well, if you have any burning questions later. But for now, I think that's it. Thank you so much for sticking around and listening to me, and I hope it was helpful, and you can have a great rest of your night. Thank you.